Okay, so neuroplasticity. So it comes from two words, neuro and plasticity. So neuro is related to the brain cells, your neurons. Also the spinal neurons, the spine cells. So that's that relationship. Neuron is the brain and spine neurons, the cells. And then plasticity is the ability for them to shift, for them to be plastic, for them to change, to learn new behaviors, to learn new patterns. How cool is that? And we deal with neuroplasticity. All of us do. If we learn a new language, if we want to pick up the sport pickleball, if we want to learn how to paint, right? So it's not that we know snap how to do it. It takes learning the structure, how to take a brush in your hand, what colors to use, what colors mix to go from red to purple. It's a learning process. So neuroplasticity is, in our pain healing world, means the ability for your brain and nervous system to learn a new pattern, healthier techniques that you implement to change its old faulty hamster in a wheel, spinning the same old pattern over and over and over again, taking that pattern and making a new one, and then practicing the new pattern over a period of time. It is not within a day, and it's not within 3 weeks. It's a long period of time. 3 months to 4 months is what I'm finding. We practice that pattern to shift the way we feel, because what pain science is basically telling us is this: a person in chronic pelvic pain or any kind of chronic pain over time has now developed a super sensitive nervous and immune system. That super sensitive nervous and immune system is now more sensitive to threat because it wants to protect you. Our body, our brain, and our nervous system and our immune system is all about protecting us and keeping us safe. So if our oversensitive nervous system is super sensitive to threats. Now, threats can be emotional. I'm never going to get better. Or psychological. My relationship with my husband is doomed. Or social. I wasn't invited to a friend's gathering. All these are considered threats to the nervous and immune system. And the job of the nervous and immune system is to send this information, because it's information now, to the brain. And the brain says, oh, that's information. Do I decide whether or not I send her signals of distress, because that makes her move, that tells her to go do something about it. So typically the brain will send signals of pain, or for women with urgency, that's urge sensation. So it sends signals of distress to tell you that you're not safe, something's not right, and you need to go to a doctor or do something about it. So neuroplasticity means that the ability that you can now implement less threatening information. So for example, instead of waking up in the morning and maybe when you first become conscious, instead of going to that, oh no, what's my day going to be like, in a negative way, which is considered a threat, you say, I've learned that that's a threat. So what can I do instead? Let me picture a person who I love. Let me look at their face in my mind's eye. Look at their face in my mind's eye, and let me send them love. Or let me just be conscious of, do I hear some bird outside my window? Or if my cat or dog, because they usually do when you first start to wake up, they want to come up and get their cuddles. Let me focus on that for the few moments. Focus on the smell of the fur, on the sound of the breathing, on the welcoming I'm receiving. Those are all considered tiny but very helpful, non-threatening activities. So we're going to use the skill of neuroplasticity to create a new pattern, to unlearn that old hamster wheel in a loop: pain, distress, threat, pain, distress, threat, and calming and soothing, for the brain to send more of those soothing chemicals to your body.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so how does it specifically apply to women who are suffering from chronic pelvic pain? And why is neuroplasticity and that self-care that's involved with, how would you say that? Redoing the pathways in the brain, right? How does that in particular affects and helps women with chronic pelvic pain?
Well, it's interesting. This self-care for any pain is helpful. So it doesn't have to be just pelvic pain. Yeah. But I will mention something very interesting about pelvis. The pelvis is your first body's natural defense mechanism. So there was a film being showed, and some subjects, women were volunteered to look at a film, and there were some scary bits within the film. And they had surface electrodes, little small on their skin electrodes, measuring the electrical activity on their shoulders, their inner thighs, the pelvic floor, lower back. When the scary bits came up, the first reaction to the scare was the pelvic floor tensing. So the pelvic floor is like a mirror of your state of mind. So if you are soothing yourself, your pelvic floor gets a signal of things are good. It doesn't tighten up and tense up. So it's in terms of, for the pelvic pain patient, there's lots of techniques of self-care that helps the whole pelvic and the whole pain issue, but it also helps the pelvic issue specifically by lowering its tension. Because not only does the brain send signals of pain and distress, urge, it also tells the muscles of the pelvic area. So it's pelvic floor, your deep butt muscles, your hip rotator muscles, lower abdominals, all of those are told to guard as a form of protection. So that is part of the process, is understanding, well, why does my body feel this way? Oh, I understand. It's my system has gotten overprotective. Okay, that's nice. But now what can I do? You have so much you can do. And it's not like sitting on a rock in India for like 8 hours. It's really doing something small throughout your day, tiny things that soothe.
Beautiful. Okay, so you are the founder of Pelvic Sense, and you exactly helping women to start to undo those threatening, patterns, right? So
Yes.
How does it work?
Okay, so Pelvic Sense is based on my 25 years, really the last 12, of how do patients get better. And it's based on how can I incorporate teaching a person about pain science without it being overwhelmed. Because most people in pain, our brains can't focus too heavily on too intense things, but it's done in a way that's acceptable, understood. So it's an online pelvic healing home program that's going to teach you about the science of pain and all the evidence for self-care. Christian Neff's self-compassion, or James Pennebaker, expressive journaling, a wide variety of self-soothing techniques, gratitude. The program has many, many downloads, 50 positive affirmations. You can choose 1 to 3 every day and just say them to yourself. And what's the science behind that? So it's going to present you with knowledge. It's called Learn. It's also going to present you with something called Rewire. Part of the drivers for chronic pain, chronic pelvic pain, is an overly sensitive nervous system and a hyper helicopter parent type brain. So we want to inputs more of that, eliciting the relaxation response. We want to soothe, we want to calm, we want to elevate the alpha brain waves within the brain to allow the brain to sense that she is safe. You are safe. My body is safe. I don't have to send her the signals of pain. So the second part of Pelvic Sense is Rewire, a soothing, calming, active work that you practice. You listen to, it's audio guides with music. I guide you in a very calm voice. This is not a fast-paced. And the third portion is Move. Not only is it important to learn about pain, where it's coming from, what can I do to reverse it, and the exercise of mind work to help soothe myself. It's also we want to help your body and brain connect the body movement as being safe. So guided breath work, diaphragmatic breathing, which is a deep inhalation, which lowers the diaphragm as you inhale, which also lowers the pelvic floor, which I know you've learned from another one of your presenters. So we're incorporating movement of breath to physically move the pelvic floor and get out of its holding upward tension points. And movement incorporates all kinds of mindful movement. So it's not just, hey, just move your leg there, move your leg there. It's about, can I sense the stretching in my inner thighs? Am I lowering that sensitivity of my nervous system to move? This is what we're really doing. It's all about down regulating the nervous and immune system to allow the body to move easier. And then the brain as well gets sparked in the cells, like in the brain neurons, like, oh, movement is safe. So there are lots and lots of different techniques. So I incorporate that.